Well, guys, today is the day. I have been waiting on this day, guys, for the past 4 years. When President Trump left after his first term, I knew that he was coming back. I knew that he was going to run for president again. I knew that he would become the president yet again. And now, guys, at the time of this recording, we're only like a mere 3 or 4 hours away from President Trump retaking the White House officially. He will no longer be president-elect. He will be the president. Now, we need to talk about Joe Biden, guys, because ever since the first day Joe Biden got into office, man, I knew that things were going to get bad. And it got really bad, guys. I mean, Joe Biden was running on a high, because the media was actually covering for him. But all the signs were telling us, guys, that, his administration not good. That Afghanistan withdrawal, guys, that was the first time where everything really started falling apart for Biden. People didn't forget that those service members died because Biden botched the Afghanistan withdrawal. I mean, it was an unmitigated disaster. And just last year, guys, there was a what do they call it? Like a remembrance or something for the service members. Biden didn't show up. Harris didn't show up. Yes, Biden and Harris, man, are definitely America last. Now, hopefully, guys, this is the last video I actually have to make on Joe Biden. I'm focused on making America great again because we need it, man. This inflation, man, is getting worse at the grocery store, man. I mean, eggs now, $11 for eggs. Yeah, I know I buy expensive eggs, man, because I buy organic pasture-raised eggs. But the same eggs I bought just a few months ago were still expensive, but they were like $9. These things are now $11. It's gotten really bad, guys. Americans have suffered under Joe Biden. And now Joe Biden gets some very, very, very bad news, guys, as he leaves the White House. Joe Biden, to me, man, he's going to go down as one of the worst occupiers of the Oval Office ever. I believe he's worse than Jimmy Carter. Each one of these guys' administrations were very, very similar, man. High inflation and stuff like that. Jimmy Carter had the hostage situation in Iran. He had to deal with that. Biden now is actually trying to take credit now for Hamas actually releasing prisoners. Nobody's giving him credit, guys. Nobody. Why? Because it's really President Trump, who's not even the president yet. He's the reason why the hostages got released. Remember last week, guys, President Trump said, if the hostages are not released, by the time I get back in office, there's going to be hell to pay. Yes. And Hamas now has fallen in line. Also, Israel has released some Hamas hostages as well. But back over here, man, this is really bad for Biden. And also, we got a clip from Harry Ensign over there at CNN. This just tells you, man, how terrible Joe Biden has been. Says here, citizens are not looking favorably on Joe Biden's time in office as President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration approaches. According to CBS News polling, quote, when Americans look back on Biden's occupation of the Oval Office, 37% approve of the job he has done over the last 4 years. That is just below any approval mark he received while in office. Yes, he's leaving with his worst approval rating ever. Ever. Wow. When Biden took office 4 years ago, most Americans felt optimistic about the job he would do. I want to know about those people who are optimistic about Joe Biden. I'm very curious about that. However, following the chaotic U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan that left many service members dead, his approval rating took a dive and continued to drop as Americans suffered in the grip of inflation, and it never recovered, the article said. I mean, guys, this is bad, man. This is bad. Now, according to the left stream media, man, they want to tell you that President Trump is the worst ever. President Trump is 4 points ahead of Joe Biden in this. And this is actually coming off when Trump left office. That was really after January 6th. And his approval rating, I believe at that time, was the lowest ever. And now Trump is more popular than ever. Biden is doing worse than Jimmy Carter by a mile. George W. Bush, now he was at 22%. That's not good. Now, I'm curious, man, how in the world did Obama get 62% approval when he left? Now, George H.W. Bush, he had a 54% approval and he lost his election. Clinton, 68%. Ronald Reagan, 68%. Wow. But the thing is, man, people that actually did vote for Biden, they weren't voting for Biden because they like Biden. There was a lot of Trump derangement guys in 2020. A lot. But this time around, I told you guys, Trump derangement was not going to work. Not when your groceries are 5 times as expensive as when Trump was in office. It's not going to work. And Biden lied to people about the virus. He said he was going to stop the virus. No, he didn't. And we knew that he never was. I mean, it's a virus. You're not going to stop it. But he lied. Gas prices got really out of control too, man. This is bad. This is really, really bad for Beijing Biden. This is what he will be remembered for, guys. Afghanistan, inflation, that kind of thing. Gas prices being out of control. The left abandoning Joe Biden. And Joe Biden was pandering to the left. Wokeness. And Nancy Pelosi at one point was actually saying that Joe Biden should be on Mount Rushmore. Yeah, nobody's buying that because Nancy Pelosi was one of the figures that actually pushed out Joe Biden. Mount Rushmore? Nah, not even close. I mean, this is horrific, man. Absolutely horrific. Yeah, this picture here, man, pretty much sums it up. The Biden administration right there. But let's jump over here to Harry Anton right here. Goodness gracious. CNN's Harry Anton stunned to find Joe Biden's approval ratings lowest of any president on record. Yeah. Let's play this, guys.
As President Biden prepares to exit the White House, President-elect Trump is making his way to Washington to take the oath of office amid a brutal cold spell due to hit the nation's capital on Monday. While Biden's approval ratings exiting office are frosty, Trump appears to be enjoying a bit of a honeymoon period. Joining us now to run the numbers on this, CNN senior data reporter Harry Anton. Hello, Harry.
Hello.
This is a pretty typical pattern, but these numbers for Biden seem especially low.
Yeah, they're historically, though. They're, I dare say, historically awful. What am I talking about here? Well, job approval at the end of the first term. I'm just looking amongst those who lost or didn't run for re-election. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to see which is the lowest number on your screen right now. And an average of polls, my average, Joe Biden's at 38%. He's actually lower than Donald Trump was at the end of his first term. Remember, at the end of his first term, everyone was saying Donald Trump's political career is over. Joe Biden's approval ratings even lower than Trump's was by just a point. He's lower than Jimmy Carter, who was at 44% by the end of his presidency. Not even close to George H.W. Bush, who was at 56%, saw a nice rebound. But the bottom line is this. Joe Biden came in to end the Donald Trump reign in this country, right? End Donald Trump's political career. And all that's ended up happening is Joe Biden has managed to end up at a lower approval rating at the end of his first term than any president on record, Jessica.
And how are people reflecting on his entire presidency at this moment?
Yeah, so if you think this approval rating number is bad, take a look at this particular number. All right, a good or great president at the end of their terms. Well, Barack Obama, 52% of Americans thought he was a good or great president at the end of his presidency, 2017. Donald Trump, very much behind Barack Obama at 36%. But look at how low Joe Biden is. My goodness gracious, you can't really get lower than 25% in our polarized era, because the bottom line is there's going to be a bunch of Democrats who would say that Biden was a good or great president no matter what he did. But yet it's only a quarter of the country who believes that Joe Biden was a good or great president. It is.
And I'm curious as to the 25% of people who actually thought he was good or great. I got questions about that. Was it the billionaire elites where inflation didn't affect them? I'm curious about that.
The lowest number since AP Nork started tracking this back at the end of Barack Obama's second term. Bottom line is Joe Biden goes out a very unpopular man at the end of a 50-plus year political career.
It is. It's so interesting. And there's so many questions, too, about, like, are we so more divided now than we were back in 2017? Is it Joe Biden? There's a lot there to chew on.
Yeah.
I do want you to talk us through Trump's popularity at this point.
Yeah. So if Joe Biden's numbers are at his lowest point, right, Donald Trump's are right near his top point. I literally we have a little thing up here. I'm so tall. I was managed to actually bump it. Look at this. Trump's record favorable rating. You know, you go back 4 years ago, he was at 38%. Look at where he is today, 47%. That is the highest favorable rating Donald Trump has ever registered in an average of polls. So what we're dealing with is something very interesting, whereby, as I was saying, Joe Biden's at his worst point. Donald Trump is actually at his best point, being with this such a high favorable rating. One other little last thing I will point out, because I want to get to the forecast a little bit, is just take a look at this. Will Trump be a good president? In January of 2017, you saw 48% for Donald Trump. Look at where we are today. A majority expect that Donald Trump will be a good president. So expectations for him are quite high. We'll see if he's able to meet those expectations, Jessica.
Yeah. And you mentioned the weather. How cold will it be historically?
Brr. I mean, my goodness gracious. I mean, what are we talking about? We're talking Monday's forecast is in the low 20s, a low 10s wind chill. That would make it the potentially second coldest inauguration on record. Remember, Ronald Reagan was at 7 in 1985. We're looking right around where JFK was in 1961. And look, this is even going to be colder than Obama's at 28.
Yeah, so you guys heard that right there, man. That is some bad news for Joe Biden. The man is just flat out awful. I can't wait, man. We only got, 3-4 hours, man? It seems like 3 or 4 hours too long. And Biden now, guess what he's done? He's actually pardoned Dr. Fauci and also the January 6th Unselect Committee. This is, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. There was word that he may actually do it, but that was his final act right there, guys. Pardoning Fauci, who everybody hates and wants in prison. And also January 6th committee, guys. What a terrible man who's destroyed this country. I'm not going to miss him. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and White Network fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And we will catch you next time.